Hi, my name is Diane Chandler, and I am the Secretary of the Cumberland Disaster Recovery Coalition. And I'm here to give you a little bit of information on how the CDRC began. When a federal or state declared disaster is declared, organizations such as FEMA, the Red Cross, and many volunteer organizations will come together and help with the immediate needs of survivors, such as food, shelter, and temporary housing. These are greatly needed at that time, at the beginning, but many of these survivors will suffer long-term effects. They may not have insurance to cover the cost of repairing or rebuilding their home. And FEMA is a great organization, but the most that they will pay out to repair or to build a home is $33,000. So these individuals are left with houses that are unfit to live in or damaged. And unfortunately, this is what happened back in 2011 when the tornadoes struck multiple neighborhoods in Cumberland County. Many homes were severely damaged and destroyed, and many homeowners were left with no funds or to rebuild. And Cumberland County officials realized at that time that we needed an organization to help with this need. So as part of the county's emergency services plan, the Department of Social Services led an unmet needs committee, and it was made up of a coalition of community partners that specialize in the disaster help. FEMA recommended that we began a long-term recovery group to continue services and to help with future disasters. So with that said, the Unmet Needs Committee decided to take steps to transform to a formal voluntary disaster organization called the Cumberland Disaster Recovery Coalition. And we are help, and since that time, the Department of Social Services, the CDRC, and the county partners have been helping survivors in their time of need.
Hello, my name is Ron Gunter, and I'm the CEO of Fayetteville Area Habitat for Humanity. And our geographical service area includes Cumberland County, Bladen County, and Sampson County. And we are in a tremendous partnership with the CDRC. And I want my colleague to introduce herself.
I'm Tracy Coffin. I'm the affiliate project manager and chief operating officer, and I work very closely with Lupita on critical home repairs from disaster recovery type situations.
Since January of 2019, we've been able to partner with CDRC, and in that partnership, we've been able to address the needs of 60 homeowners with repairs to their homes, and currently we have 5 more that we're working with now. We've spent a total of $912,000, which is a tremendous amount of money, but it's meaning that we've been able to meet the needs of so many. Partnerships are a critical part of what we do. Habitat for Humanity is a well-known name, it's a well-known brand, and Habitat is known for helping in so many areas, but we cannot do what we do without the help of others. And CDRC has been a very good partner to us, and we work together to meet the needs of people. And together we can make a difference, and together we are making a difference.
Lupita and I actually met during Hurricane Florence recovery operations in 2018, the fall of 2018, and really started working closely in 2019 through present. And without this partnership, we wouldn't be able to do what we do and help as many people as we help. We also partner with other local businesses in this area and other organizations across the state on various projects. So it's easier to do what we do when we have that partnership with other organizations like Baptist on Mission, UMCOR at one point, and other local builders in the area. We also partner with folks like Owens Corning and local builders like Covenant Roofing. And those partnerships allow us to do more and stretch our money to do more repairs for that family and also help more individuals in need.
And it's a critical part of our endeavor because anybody that tries to go it alone is not able to accomplish a mission. It is partnership, and as Tracy did mention, we have multiple partners, and We at Habitat really don't care who gets credit for what we do. We just want to do it. We want to help families. We want to put families in affordable housing. We want to help other organizations so that we can expand the footprint to help as many people as possible. So we want to say thank you to CDRC for their partnership and for their work alongside as we work together to meet the needs of people in Cumberland County.
I second that. Without Lupita and this relationship that we have and this partnership we have, there's no way we could have done what we've been able to do over this last almost 2 years. So thank you to CDRC.
I'm Laura Lupton, and I have the joy of serving on the board of directors of the Cumberland Disaster Recovery Coalition, and I serve as treasurer. One of the partners that is critical to us, North Carolina Legal Aid. So what we find is when some of our clients, some of the survivors approach and they say, you know, I've got this need, and they tell us that they own their home, but in fact they don't. There's situations where there's been an inheritance and nobody ever filed the paperwork to actually make the deed belong to the person who lives there. Sometimes they are renters, but they don't pay rent because it's in the family and this kind of stuff. And so legal aid will help straighten out the ownership of the property so that the volunteers can come in and do the work, and we're not actually repairing a rental. Truth be told, if we repair a rental home, it will be in better condition than it was before the storm, and we have found that that can lead to the person there getting evicted because the owner of the home realizes they can now get rent for the place. And so we have to be careful that we're helping homeowners and long-term residents and not helping somebody's business who's operating the business of running rental properties. And so that's a situation where legal aid helps us. Another thing legal aid does is sometimes insurance companies will offer this much money, and the real situation needs this much money, and legal aid will help people understand their rights with the insurance company and how to appeal those initial assessments and get other evaluations that will help the insurance company know that they really owe this larger amount of money and not a small amount of money. And so we have partners like legal aid in the community. We have partners that come in from church groups to help do the work when we go in a home and we can see that the home needs to be gutted, that the mold and the water damage is too much, but the structure is good. We will find a volunteer group to go in there and do what's called a muck out. It's good old-fashioned dirty work with a sledgehammer and buckets and bags, and trust me, you wear the rubber gloves and the face mask because there's mold, and you strip the home down to its framing. And from there, then there's a process that we work with the family to help them rebuild and put back in wallboard and flooring and appliances and light fixtures and all the basics. And we have that kind of partnership going on. And lo and behold, here came Florence with this unending rain. And it rained, and it rained, and the creeks rose, and some of the same people were devastated a second time. CDRC was already active. We had not gone dormant, and so we were able to just keep going and maintain our communication with our partners and live into helping those people who were survivors of Florence. And it's something to keep in mind about hurricanes and tornadoes and other natural disasters. The families who are so wounded by those natural disasters, their homes are literally collapsing in. A tree has come through the wall. Water has come up from below or down from above and caused extensive damage. Some of these folks are elderly and on a fixed income, and just it's incredibly depressing. They have no idea where to turn for help. Some of the people who have this kind of impact in their lives have small children in the home who can't be exposed to the mold, and where are they going to live? They don't have resources to go rent a new home or live somewhere temporary while they're still paying a mortgage on the home that is destroyed. Some of the folks who survive these disasters already suffered from some sort of mental health challenge, and those could be anywhere on the map, and this just puts them in a very difficult place with the challenges they already had prior to whatever befell them. And so we want these people to know that they are not alone and that they are supported. As Florence began the reality of the impact of Florence began to unfold in our midst. North Carolina put together a program called Hope for NC, Hope for North Carolina. And it was an outreach program where we were able to partner with the state, and we received a grant, and we were able to employ a huge number of people that reached out in the community to find survivors who had not self-identified. So we went to grocery stores and community events and churches and civic organizations. These outreach teams went all kinds of places, and they went door to door, knocking on doors, saying, were you impacted by the storm? How are you doing? We want to provide you information about how you can reach out for additional support and help, because when a disaster strikes, we are in it together. It takes a community to heal from the disaster. So Hope for NC was a terrific outreach program. It did bring forward lots of additional survivors to our attention so that we could continue helping them, including people who don't necessarily speak English as their first language. We are able to help people whose first language is not English. We are able to help people whose citizenship status may be unclear. And we have some funds that are restricted, but we have other funds where we can help anyone in our community who is hurting. We welcome all, regardless of what their walk in life is. If they've been damaged by the storm and have not yet been made whole through their FEMA process and their insurance process, we want to help meet that unmet need. That's an interesting term, that unmet need. There's FEMA money, there's insurance money, there might be some personal investment in the process, but then there's that stretch of I can't complete this part, that unmet need, and we help folks with that unmet need as they move forward towards wholeness and healing. We want all the members of our community to know that they are loved and cared for, and we're working together to bring wholeness. Truth is that we have not yet finished with the clients and survivors of Hurricane Florence. We still have a list of folks that we are working with and resourcing to help, and we are now more than 2 years beyond Hurricane Florence. So we still need partners, and we still need help reaching these final few clients that we have. We're in partnership with our contractor. We're in partnership with Habitat for Humanity, Catholic Charities, and many others that we're going to list at the end of this program that have been partners with us across these years to help folks. So the process is not done. There are still families hurting, still families rebuilding, still families with mold in their home, living in their home with mold. Because either we haven't gotten to them or a previous partner in the community wasn't able to help them. And it takes money and volunteers and agencies to coordinate and do this work to help make folks whole in the community.
Hello, my name is Lupita Trevino, and I'm the case manager with Cumberland Disaster Recovery Coalition. And since I've been working with Cumberland Disaster Recovery Coalition as a case manager, I've encountered many stories that are tearjerkers, as you may say. Also stories in how families have been impacted where they've never known to be a disaster survivor or the steps to take. So when I walk into a home and see the families and the devastation that they're going through, I always put myself in that situation to say, is it, my family member? How would I want them to be treated? So the first thing that I do is we do the assessment, and I talk to them about how the program works. One of the things that I love about my job is being able to do partnerships with Habitat. I've been able to work with Lutheran Service, Catholic Charities, Green Chair Project. So those programs have been phenomenal with our partnership with the CDRC. Not only because, as one organization, we cannot do everything. So, going to the clients' homes, I'm able to see what their needs are, and I'm able to focus on the unmet needs that they've encountered. So for example, if they have roof repair that they're needing, or if their home has mold remediation needing, whatever the cases are, it's just a huge list of things that disasters do to clients' homes. Like previously, Laura was talking about the water flooding the homes. When I first started working with CDRC, I worked off of Brinkley Road, and we had 8 families in that area that were totally flooded out, and their homes were not livable. So to see the before and afters has been a joy into what I do as a case manager. So for example, in our partnership, I was able to encounter Ms. Anita Williams, and she is one of our survivors here with CDRC. So Anita's story is very unique only because, she is one of a few. There is hundreds, probably thousands of other, survivors that are going through this, where they go through a system. So the system is where Anita first encountered a note on her door from Hope for NC. So this is something that Laura had spoken about earlier. So Hope for NC was an outreach program. So from there, they were able to make contact with Ms. Williams. And from there, she was transferred to Endeavors. So keep this in mind, it was from 2018. So from 2018, she went from Endeavors, and then from Endeavors, they transferred her case to UMCOR. So her case had been waiting for a long time to be assisted. She had mold, needed roof repair, had water damage inside her home. So basically, her home was not livable, but she was still living in her home because, a lot of times clients cannot be living in one place, paying mortgage, and then having to reside somewhere else and pay for mortgage. So when I met Anita, it was heartbreaking for me, only because I felt her frustration when I first met her. I felt her sadness. I felt, as a survivor, she shouldn't have to be going through this, through where she's going through one program to another program to another program. And then lastly was legal aid. And her case was basically waiting for so long. When I got her case in August, because I inherited 80 cases, 42 from UMCOR and 38 from Endeavors, because their programs are no longer active. I received her case in August. In September, we started work in her home, and her home is fully repaired. Within a month and a half, I think, was a repair time for Ms. Williams' home. Ms. Williams, would you like to introduce yourself and talk about your story?
My name is Anita Williams. I am a survivor. I started out with, as she said, with Hope NC. Just miraculously, there was a note on my door one day, and I contacted them. But as she said, it went on from one place to the other. Either the time ran out and they closed down, or the funding went to the pandemic, one thing after another. So I was looking at 2 years, and with my ceiling in the living room completely on the floor, and it had been cleaned up, but the whole gaping hole was still there with mold. I have respiratory problems. I had stayed with my friends, but you can't do that for 2 years. So I went back into my home. I put plastic up around the doors as best I could, and I lived there. But what I did was, I sort of like pretended that room no longer existed to my home, because it wasn't livable. I couldn't go into it and I couldn't access it and couldn't use it. There's a great amount of depression that comes along with this. You get depressed, and for me, I have no family in North Carolina at all. So I stuck with my friends at church and my friends in the community. Then I was told that someone would contact me, and they would be from the agency that Lapita works for. By then, you don't have a whole lot of hope. So I said, okay, sure. In my heart, I'm like, just another agency. But she came. She gave me hope because she stayed in contact with me. I didn't have to wonder what was going on with my case. She told me that they would be starting soon. I said, sure. And I guess she could tell that by my tone that I really, at that point, didn't know what to believe. So she told me, just keep hope. So surely, she said that Mr. Wyatt would be out. Mr. Wyatt came. Mr. Wyatt assessed things. And before I knew it, they were ready to start work on my house. Even then, I could not really fathom that it was actually getting ready to take place. Even when they came to start the work, I couldn't believe that they were there to do it. I guess it became so emotional to me because I couldn't talk about it. I still can't talk about it without crying. Because then I was crying because I felt hopeless, that I'd been forgotten. And I'm one of the ones that had insurance for 23 years with the same company that denied me. And we went round and round and round, but they still denied me. So I would just sit there. And then when Mr. Wyatt came and they started the work, I guess I cried so much until one of the workers thought that he had done something to me, had done something wrong, and he asked Mr. Wyatt what was going on because I was crying so. But he had to explain to him that I was crying because then it was tears of joy, tears of relief, tears of actually being able to use my home again fully. I didn't have to worry about anything. They both, Lapita and Mr. Wyatt, stayed in touch with me. At that point, they kept asking me if it was okay if they did this or that. I didn't care what they did as long as they just kept doing whatever they were doing or they did something. And that they did. It was less than a month and a half that they had my house back together. Everything was done professionally on Mr. Wyatt's end. The workers were professional. They were polite. They let me know when they were coming. Lapita, she stayed in touch with me, and she connected me with resources that I need through CDRC. So I am eternally grateful for CDRC. Never really heard of it until this disaster came. But then, as they say, you don't know what you need until you need it. And they were there for me. They helped me from the beginning to the end after a 2-year ordeal. And I am forever grateful, forever grateful.
So what I would like to say is through partnering with Habitat, we were able to accomplish getting the partnership to fix and repair Ms. Williams' home. But without partnering with other organizations, it would be very difficult for CDRC to keep maintaining a high cost in repairs. So it is so important and vital for our community for us to work together. As Habitat had said earlier today, that partnerships make a big difference. We can't do it alone.
Again, my name is Carlton White. I'm a contractor who is working with the CDRC. And a lot of times I work with Tracy, who's with Fayetteville Area Habitat for Humanity. And in one instance, we went in to do a repair on a floor for an individual. And we saw with the naked eye that we just need a subfloor put in. And that was it. But once we got in there and started tearing the floor out, we literally had to almost rebuild the whole entire room. The structural damage that was caused by water being underneath it was unimaginable. And we literally had to go out and buy boots. And we had water up to about maybe 1 or 2 feet deep, working in water, trying to rebuild this individual's home. We had to put in there new joists, the whole 9 yards. We rebuilt the entire room. And then I got back with Mr. Lapita, said, Mr. Lapita, we have gotten in a situation where it's going to require more money than we anticipated this project costing us. And sure enough, she said to us, Mr. White, let me go and see if I can find some other resources to help out. Sure enough, she got with Miss Tracy, who works with the Fayetteville Area Habitat for Humanity, and she was able to come in to assist. And when we had to go in and do the other rooms of the same project, the same situation occurred. And literally, this house was sitting on a bed of water. It's like a pool underneath. And we said to the individual, listen, we think that you need to either pick up this home and move it, or you may have to build a sump pump underneath the house to pump the water out. Sure enough, that's what he had begun doing. He had a sump pump already installed, but it's a small sump pump. He needed a larger sump pump to get the water from underneath the house. So in doing so, we were able to actually construct that home in such a way that it's more stable now. And in doing so, the individual came up to me and said, you don't know what you've done. You revitalized me. And I have now a really good reason to live. Before, I was just devastated and think that anything could be done until we stepped in and started working with them. And then we saw that we noticed they had a lot of electrical problem work that had to be done. And we were not in a position to do that, and the funds had run out. So we were able to give him some information and have him go to the right resources downtown to get that situation corrected. In another situation, we had to do another house, and most of these houses that we've done in the past were in low areas. And it's okay to be in low areas when everything is going good, when the weather's nice, but when it rains and have a sufficient amount of rain comes in, and it fills up those lakes and it starts filling up those low areas, then that water goes underneath the houses. And when it goes underneath the house, there's no way to get it out unless you use a sump pump to get it out. And because of that, we had to do a lot of mold remediation to a lot of these homes that had mold in it. These individuals were living in mold. They were trying to breathe that. They were wearing masks the whole 9 yards. And one individual had a baby that was in the house, and it was devastating for the baby. But we were able to go in and fix that situation. And today, they still call and say, Mr. White, we still appreciate you, and we thank you for what you've done for us.
So, Mr. White, how, as a contractor, never had been doing disaster work, how did, Mr. Wyatt, as a contractor and never had worked with disaster survivors before you started working with CDRC, how has it impacted you?
Well, the way it has impacted me is that, before, we have worked with individuals who had been devastated one time or another, but not on the great magnitude that we have been doing since we've been working with you guys, CDRC. And the way it has impacted me and some of the others, we have a greater sense now in and feeling good about the work that we actually do to help these individuals, we now feel more appreciated. It's one thing to help people who just might need the roof added on or have work done because they want it done. But when you're working with an individual who is a must to have this done, it just gives me a great feeling to know that we are in a position and we are equipped to actually help these individuals get back to a quality way of life.
Can you tell us the story about how when you are helping a client, sometimes there are other needs that come up, and how you've been so kind to help with that? You mentioned something about a water heater earlier.
Well, normally what I would do when an individual is in need of other repairs that were not originally on our list of repairs to be done that were approved by either a CDRC or Favored Area Habitat for Humanity, I would see if I have extra money in my pockets to go in and help these individuals. And sometimes I was able to do so. And because I was able to do so, they still today thank me for that. And I just feel good about it. This one individual project we worked on, we were doing a roof job first, and second we had to do the inside. We would do the ceiling portion of it, tear out the ceiling and replace it. And when we started doing the work for this young lady, we have what you call nail gun machines, and they are attached to compressors. And these compressors pull electricity from the house to keep the machines running. And this young lady one day asked me, she said, "Mr. Wyatt, with your machine pulling electricity from my house, is that gonna cause my electric bill to go up a whole lot?" I said, "No, ma'am, might go up 75% or maybe $1. She said, "I was just concerned about that because I am on a fixed income and I don't have that kind of money to be paying anything extra." So what I did, and thinking through this thing and out of the goodness of my heart, at the end of that particular day, I went to this individual and said, "Miss So-and-so, I'm going to give you $10 to help you with your electric bill." And she started crying. She said, "No one has ever done this for me." And I had a few tears come out my eye, but she didn't know. I just walked away and went home. And the last day we worked there, maybe 2 days later, the last day we worked, and she just thanked us and hugged me so much and said, "You are a blessing in disguise." And I saw the need to give her another $5. And I gave her another $5 toward that electric bill, and she cried again. And when we're able to do things like that, when I'm able to help an individual out, period, that just does a lot to me internally. And I know that that spirit it's that good spirit that makes you feel good. And I feel good when I do these things.
Hi, my name is Pamela Packer, and I'm a social worker by trade. And I have the pleasure of speaking to you from several different areas. First, as a case manager. For about a year or so, I was case manager for Lutheran Services. And so as a case manager, our task was to basically hold the hand of the survivor. We would walk through things that were required for their eligibility. If they were needing a new roof or things of that nature, we were to help them to find the deed to the home, to show ownership. If they had insurance, we needed documentation of that. If the insurance denied them, we would need documentation that the insurance denied them. If they applied for FEMA, we would need information of what FEMA's decision was, things of that nature. So I've had the experience of being a case manager, and I know the importance of a case manager. And then also, for about a year or so, I worked with Hope for NC, which was boots on the ground. I was a crisis counselor, team leader, and we literally went neighborhood to neighborhood, knocking on doors and talking to anybody that may have been affected by Hurricane Florence or even Hurricane Matthew. We had 3 teams. One team was responsible for the Spring Lake area, another team handled Hope Mills, our team handled Fayetteville area. And then as we got closer to the ending of that project, all the teams were in Fayetteville, literally, again, knocking on every single door every single neighborhood. If we didn't get a response, we went back a second time. We left brochures, we left door hangers, we left stickies on the door. I happen to have one of my team members with me today from the Purple Team, Hope for NC, and she's just going to share a bit with you about how it felt to actually experience some of the things that the survivors were going through as we were knocking on doors.
My name is Tamika Clark. I'm currently CDRC Office Admin. Before that, I was Hope for NC Crisis Counselor. It was amazing to see how many people were still struggling from the damage of Hurricane Matthew, and then to be dealing with Florence as well. To go into clients' homes, survivors' homes, and to see all the damage that was done from the rain, the wind, and for them to be denied by FEMA and their insurance to be turned down. And for CDRC to be able to host Hope for NC, house Hope for NC, who was able to go out and find these survivors and help get them back on their feet was amazing. To be a part of something knowing that you helped this homeowner get their roof fixed so they could go back home and not live in a hotel anymore. It was just amazing to be out there door to door finding those survivors and those people that needed help.
Thank you so much. It really was an amazing task. And I reiterate that we were literally going door to door. Like, I'm sure if you're watching this video, you had a blue shirt that said Hope for NC, knock on your door and ask, if you were affected by either hurricane. So with that being said, that program came to an end. But let me just go back a little bit with the case management. We were able to advocate for the survivor, and we would go present their case to the Unmet Needs Committee, which was a committee that was put together by CDRC. And that committee was designed as a last-ditch effort to get the survivor the help that they needed. Once they had gone through their insurance, once they had applied for FEMA, maybe they applied for the SBA loan, small business loan, friends and family had helped. They had spent some of them life savings, and they still were in need of, roof repair, or something was still unmet. Some need was still unmet. And so I was able to advocate for them to the Unmet Needs Committee, which is designed to help them when they can't find other resources. So I've been on that side of the table as well as a case manager. So most recently, the Unmet Needs Committee chair position became available, and I was asked to take that position, and I humbly did. So now I am the chair of the Unmet Needs Committee, and then even more recent, a position on the CDRC Board of Directors became available, and I was asked to become a member of the Board of Directors. So, and I humbly accepted that as well. So, as I said earlier, I speak to you from several different aspects of the CDRC and what they do. I've been on both sides of the table, so to speak. And so, just want to thank you all for all your support, for all your encouragement, all the wonderful agencies that we partner with that come to that table, the Unmet Needs Committee table, and they support us by giving additional funding and all. And so I would just, ask if you're looking for an agency to donate to, CDRC would be a great, great agency to donate to. We appreciate you all, and we thank you for caring.
I would like to encourage all those who are able and those that can to please donate. I saw what a great difference that it made with me receiving services. And I know that there are many, many more out there that are just like me, that may have insurance, may not have insurance, but still devastated, that need the repairs that I have already received. Also, I think that we need to put the money, donations, wherever we can to help CDRC, because as stated, it takes funding to make repairs. And through the devastation there are those out there that are just lost, and they need and require the funding so that CDRC can complete and carry on their great work.
Do you think members of the community should support CDRC with their volunteer time and finances?
Of course, I think we all need to work together. I think everyone, nobody can do it by themselves. We all have to work together. I too, as Ms. Williams just illustrated and talked about, I too give to Fayetteville, well, not Fayetteville, it's Habitat for Humanity. They ask me for donations almost every week, but I'm able to give sometimes on a weekly basis, sometimes on a monthly basis, but I do contribute to that cause. And if CDRC has a donation avenue for me to give, I'll give back to them also. But my giving back to CDRC is in the form of not charging as much as it could be. I could charge. As I said before, when I'm doing a job, and if I'm getting a discount from one of the suppliers, I take that discount and give it back to CDRC in the form of not charging them as much as could be charged when I do the job. And that's my way of giving back.
So thank you for being part of our program today, for listening and learning about disaster recovery in Cumberland County. There are numerous resources on our website. There are resources about how to prepare for disaster. There are also resources about how to reach some of our partners in the community that can help in the rebuilding process. Whether your need is from a disaster or from other causes, there are a lot of partners listed on our website that can help for various reasons. So again, thank you.